Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the OST minor administrative offices in the elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminetti?
Here.
Mr. Donlin? Mrs. Farley?
Here.
Mr. Heffernan?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mrs. Minuis? Mrs. Wright?
Here.
Mrs. Tobacco?
Here.
Mr. Capone?
Here. We're now going to hear our student speakers from High School North, Ms. Sophia Haber-Brock.
Hi everyone. Here are the updates from Middletown North for the past month. So we celebrated National Assistant Principal Week from April 4th to the 8th. We also had our Arts Fusion show featuring work from all of our fine and applied art classes in the Media Center from April 4th to the 8th. There was an evening reception on Thursday, April 7th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. The third marking period has ended and the fourth marking period has begun. Ms. Reyes and the Diversity Club organized a very successful History Month event celebrating Women's History Month in the Media Center on March 31st during Block 3. For TV and film, Samantha Oberklug short film Two Times screened at the Kent Place Film Festival. Tonight, Sophia Haber-Brock's film Movies Pop-Up is screening at the Ridgewood Theater Film Festival. Jacob Waters, Cosmo De Niro, and Andrew Gonzalez had 3 short films screened at the New Jersey HorrorCon in Atlantic City. Zane Martin's film Choice was accepted to the Big Dreams and Silver Screens Youth Festival. Sophia Haber-Brock's film Movies Pop-Up and Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash was also accepted. Congratulations to Jacob Waters and Cosmo De Niro as their short film Sound of Silence won Best Horror Short, and to Samantha as her short Two Time won Best Experimental Film at the Point Lookout Film Festival for student films. Salvador Rasiopi, 11th grade, and Ty Bowler, 10th grade, performed with the All Shore Symphonic Band concert at Neptune High School. Sean McGain, Kyle Brennan, and Caitlin Johnson have been selected as students of the marking period at the Monmouth County Vocational School District Career Center. On Monday, April 11th, the After Fire Assembly program was held for seniors. Middletown North observed Functional Neurological Disorder Awareness Day on April 13th by wearing orange and blue. On Wednesday, April 13th, the Theater Ensemble Honors Class, under the direction of Amanda Faria, presented their student-directed production of Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie. I'm sorry. Their performance was a big success. On Monday, April 25th, the GSA observed the Day of Silence to protest the harmful effects of harassment and discrimination of LGBTQ people in school. GSA members handed out silence and ally ribbons for anyone interested in participating. Sophomores are no longer assigned to their advisory/transition rooms. 3 students received their Eagle Scout Award at their Court of Honor ceremony on April 23rd. Ricardo Shishing Chalamadasetti, Christian A. Saravia, and Daniel James Pitzer. The National Honor Society has been collecting items for a fundraiser to support the Blessing Bag Brigade to help the homeless and those in need. The Environmental Club, with advisors Ms. Wellington and Ms. Woods, partnered with the Tree Plenish, a nonprofit organization which works to build sustainable communities through youth engagement. The members of the Environmental Club will be planting 190 tree saplings on April 30th to offset the school's paper usage during the last academic year. Coming up, junior and senior prom tickets will be on sale, and Middletown North is excited for our seniors who are making decisions for their future after high school plans, whether that be a 4-year school, 2-year school, trade school, military service, or workforce. Seniors are encouraged to wear attire on April 29th for their pre-secondary plans. That's all for this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Next up from High School 7. out Stephanie Bucksbaum. I don't see her. I know she-
Maybe she comes later.
Okay, we'll get back to Stephanie. We'll need a resolution now for executive session to discuss matters of HIV, settlement agreements, residency issues, personnel matters, and negotiation.
Second.
Extensions, discussions? Thank you, everyone. See you well. Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the August T. Minor administrative offices and each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminetti?
Here.
Mr. Donlin? Mrs. Farley?
Here.
Mr. Heffernan,
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mrs. Minuis? Mrs. Wright?
Here.
Mrs. Tobacco?
Here.
Mr. Capone?
Here. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. With great sadness, we share that Juliana Maria D'Angelo passed away on Monday, April 4th. Juliana was an infant daughter of elementary school music teacher Dominic D'Angelo and his wife Maria. We extend our deepest condolences and support to the entire D'Angelo family. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Gallagher for the presentation of the 22-23 school year budget.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So we are here to just review the status of our budget for the 22-23 year. As those of you who've been to our last several board meetings, we've had multiple presentations regarding the status and the building of our budget. We presented our tentative budget at our March meeting, which the board then approved for us to submit to the county office for the county superintendent to review and approve. The county superintendent did approve our budget. We then advertised the budget, and we are now ready to put the budget to the board for a final vote. So we're just going to touch on a few of the highlights of our presentation. There haven't been any changes since we presented our tentative budget. So our total budget for the 22-23 year is $176,468,828. It includes a 2% increase in our tax levy. It also incorporates the $993,000 reduction of our state aid due to the implementation, the 5th year of implementation of S2, and our various other revenues that build our budget for this year. Chris, if you could go to the next slide. The following two slides then detail all of the budgeted appropriations for this year in our major categories. Again, there have not been any changes since our tentative budget. If you flip to the next slide, you'll see the total of $176,468,828, which balances with our revenue. Overall, our budget is increasing by 3.1%. But that varies depending upon our capital outlay and other things that can make the budget go up and down each year. We are doing approximately $2.5 million in capital projects this year, primarily funded by our capital reserve. Chris, you want to go to the next slide? Our proposed personnel changes remain the same as our tentative budget. This has all been posted on the website since March, so there haven't been any changes here. And we are also including some funds to continue to fund some positions that were included in our ESSER 2 funds for next year. That totals approximately $1.2 million. You want to flip to the next slide? We have realized some savings from transitioning to a self-funded insurance program and also from migrating to a different carrier. So we've been able to realize approximately $3 million in savings compared to the budgeted cost we had for 21-22. Go to the next slide. The next couple slides just detail some of our other initiatives that were included in the budget. Again, we did review all of these at our March meeting. We have multiple initiatives included in the areas of curriculum and instruction. Next slide. Special education. Most notably, we will be focusing a lot on professional development, training, and consultation. With the pandemic, we have not been able to do as much professional development over the last few years as we normally do, so we are, that is a focus of next year, is to be able to provide that for our staff. We flip to the next slide. As we mentioned before, we have several capital projects listed for our budget for next year. The most significant project is planned turf field and track renovations at High School North. That field is beyond, it's at the end of its life. It's actually a little bit beyond its life at this point. And at the same time, we will be also replacing the track. And we also have some other projects in various buildings here, but the most significant one would be the field and track project at High School North. The next slide just recaps our capital and maintenance reserves. We are using our capital reserve to fund projects in our budget. We're not using maintenance reserve. We still retain a little over $500,000 in maintenance reserve in case we need that for any unbudgeted expense for next year. Also included in the budget is debt service. Debt service is something that the community is required to pay once we pass a referendum. Our total debt service budget for this year is $6,478,000, and that's funded partially by tax levy, partially by state aid. The next slide. So this slide demonstrates the impact of the 2% increase on the general and debt service fund tax levy. Again, these numbers are the same that was presented with our tentative budget. With a 2% increase in the tax levy, the operating tax impact, or our general fund tax impact, would be an annual change of $136.77. The debt service tax impact would be an increase of $19.65 annually, for a total increase annually of $156.42 on an average assessed value of a home of $530,000, which is what we get that number from the township tax office. Last year, the value was $467,000, so you can see the assessed values have increased with the increase in market values of homes. So on a monthly basis, the total increase would be $13.04. So we went over the budget timeline. Again, the budget was approved and advertised as required. Tonight is our public hearing. It must be held between April 25th and May 9th, so that this voting meeting falls within that time. And the budget is now on the agenda for the board to take a vote this evening to finalize. If the board approves the budget, then that will be our budget in place for next year. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Moving on now, we're going to have public comment. Anyone wish to make a comment, please step forward to be on agenda items only. State your name and address for the record. Seeing that no one is coming to the microphone, we're going to move on. Need a resolution to adopt final 2023 school year budget and tax levy. Need a roll call.
Mrs. Caminiti? Oh, wait, somebody needs to make a motion in a second, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Roll call.
Mrs. Caminiti?
Yes.
Mrs. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Heffernan?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Tobacco?
Yes.
Mr. Capone?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Very good. A couple of proclamations this evening. committee reports. Legislative, Mr. Heffernan, I don't think we met this month, right?
We have not. We're going to try to meet this May.
Okay. Co-curricular technology.
We did not meet this.
Okay. Student services, Joe.
We didn't meet.
Facilities and finance, we did meet, and I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, Ms. Doherty.
I just want to backtrack for 1 second on the technology. The committee did not meet, but I just want to bring up for the board that we are going to be moving forward with 8 interns for our technology department for this summer, and they will be working 4 days a week from 8 to 12 each day, and it was a very competitive process this year, so we just wanted to update the board on that. Facilities and Finance, the committee did meet on April 13th. A good portion of the meeting was spent, we had our architect group, Spiesel Architectural Group, in to speak to the committee. We reviewed a few topics, one of them being the ARP ESSER projects that we've been talking about over the past several months. We do have approximately $3.2 million of our ARP ESSER funds that are dedicated toward HVAC projects. So Spiesel will be working on the design services and the bidding and the construction monitoring for us on those projects. This work is going to focus on finishing the rooftop units that need replacement at Bayshore and to start replacing indoor heat pumps at High School South. And there is a proposal for Spiesel services for this work on the agenda this evening. We also talked about the planned High School North turf field and track project and other improvements for the stadium to evaluate. So we were talking about preliminary information on that, on the field and track project. We also started talking about some other long-range planning, looking at our long-range facilities plan and coming up with some immediate priorities that we need to start putting a plan in place to address. We also talked about a few things going on in the facilities department. We have a contract on the agenda for univents to be replaced at Bayshore and High School North. This work will be partially funded by funds we received from the SDA Emergent Needs and Capital Maintenance Fund allocation of $230,000 that we received from the state. And we also had some damaged units at Bayshore that we will be receiving insurance proceeds for. So that work will be substantially funded from other sources. We also have a contract on the agenda tonight for the floors in the bubbles. If anyone who's been to our previous board meetings, we are working on improving the bubbles at both high schools. We awarded a contract to replace the membranes, the skins of the bubbles, and we're now going to be awarding a contract for the floors as well. And we also talked about other facility department updates. As far as the finance part goes, we did discuss the budget. We just discussed that now. And we will continue to work on starting to plan for next year as well. So that's a recap of everything.
Thank you very much. Moving on to policy, Mr. Bacco, Mr. Renella.
We did meet this month briefly, and there's a couple of policies that are up for first read tonight. And one other thing that we did talk about was just updating the student code of conduct, which I think you guys will be reviewing over the summer.
Right.
Wrap it up.
Excellent. Thank you. Curriculum and instruction, Ms. Harlan.
So we haven't met yet this month, but we do have a curriculum committee meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, May 4th, and we'll be reviewing over 40 new curriculum guides that should be up for adoption and approval at the May board meeting. And I just wanted to say also that we know many of you are concerned about the new health standards that we're legally required to implement next year into the curriculum. And just speaking as chair of curriculum, I just want to say that I personally am fully committed to making sure that all the content is presented in an age-appropriate way and that parents are involved, in every step of the process.
And Mrs. Orozco's here tonight just to give a little bit about the planning that's already in place. Regarding those revisions.
Oh, thank you. I don't know that I can stand anywhere without my back to people, so I'll just come all the way back here.
So to give at least most of the board the background of all of our health and PE standards, the state rewrote all of the standards with a very large committee of whoever was on there and released those standards in the spring of 2020. So the mandate is that those standards need to be implemented starting in the fall of 2022. So our curriculum was supposed to be rewritten for the fall of 2020, but we knew that these new standards were coming out, so we had actually pushed it back a little bit so that we rewrote our curriculum once those standards were released, starting in the fall of 2020 through 2021. So we've been implementing all of those new standards already this year, starting in the fall of 21 through this current school year. So that's kind of where we got to where we are. Our curriculum writing process involves our certificated teachers. So we had a committee of teachers do the elementary curriculum, a team of teachers do the middle school, and then the high school. So as a reminder, our health and phys ed certified teachers are the only teachers in our district who are teaching our children health and physical education. So in other districts, it may not be that way. In our district, it is only our health certified teachers who are teaching health with the assistance at times from the school nurse and the school SBSSs and counselors when we have some of those sensitive topics that arise that we really want, you know, our other professionals in the building. So our SBSSs are really supportive when we do some of our SEL lessons and mental health lessons, and our nurses are really important when we do certain disease prevention and also our puberty lessons. So they are instrumental in some of those things, but everyone has the proper certs, and that's who is actually teaching our lessons. So when our curriculum was written, we wrote it with the standards, right? All of it is aligned to the standards, but it's also aligned to the Middletown vision and mission and beliefs, and it was written with our community in mind. So, you know, some of the lessons that you may have seen, some of the curriculum materials that you may have seen from other places are not ones that we would have felt were appropriate. So in that curriculum writing process, the committee didn't feel that there was a solid resource that was aligned to all these new standards that really met our district vision. So when you look at our curriculum guide, which are all public and available on the web, you won't see a major textbook yet because there wasn't anything that we felt comfortable with at that time. So since then, and in working with the teachers this year, what we've decided, you know, with a lot of teacher feedback, honestly, was they need more support in some of those resources. They really want to see in print what exactly, you know, should our children be looking at in terms of textbook resources and print resources. So now the current steps are that we are looking at some resources that have been some of them have been revised and aligned, and honestly, there's still not a lot out there to look at, but we're looking at some new resources that may be appropriate to approve, and then would be in support of our health curriculum. So the curriculum was written again with our kids in mind and with age appropriateness in mind. You know, some of the sensitive topics that we're thinking about are dedicated. We have one lesson on puberty in 4th grade and one in 5th grade. There's a couple of other units that honestly the state did me no favors in some of their titles. So there is a unit of the health standards that's called social and sexual health, and there is nothing sexual about it in the elementary world, but that's the name that they gave it, so that's the name that we had to go with. So with that said, what we realized kind of early on, I would say in the fall, is that we needed to make that curriculum more public to the public, and so it was put on the web. And again, now, having seen how many people have had access to it, we realize that our curriculum is written for teachers, and it's a lot of teacher language, and our teachers get PD, and they get meetings with me, and we get to talk about a lot of the things in those documents, but we don't talk to parents about it. So now that we have these curriculum documents online for everybody to see, some of the conversations that we've had in the last week are, you know, maybe we need to revisit some of the language, at least that's in that curriculum document, and see if we can make it a little bit more parent and community friendly so that you know exactly what we're doing in each of those grade levels and that we're not using some of the statewide generic terms and definitions and summaries. So that, I think, is the path of where we're going. Some of those resources that have been out there, you know, and I'm sure that you've seen the same ones that I have, but we're looking at striking some of the generic resources that we have linked right now in favor of creating somewhat of an appendix that would have specific videos or media or articles that our teachers would be using instead of a generic website link. After doing some searching with some keywords that we had no idea we should be typing into some of these resources, now I know. Please don't look at my browser history because it's a little dicey at this point. I promise it's all school related. So now after doing some of that research, we realize how much more is out there than you would have realized. Even on some of the websites, it's just as dangerous as just Googling through YouTube or through Google and finding some of these things. So we're going to be much more specific about what resources we would like to see used in our classes. And then the other two changes that we're talking about doing are the letters that we send. So in August, we send letters, usually with my name at the bottom, with a description of what we're teaching in health every year. And for the last few years, we have put them in the virtual backpack and we haven't required them to be returned with a parent signature. And we are looking at putting that form into PowerSchool and basically requiring that parents sign off that they saw the topics that we're teaching in health. And again, after doing a little bit more review of curriculum, we'll be able to flesh out those letters to be more specific with what we're teaching so that every parent has the ability to say, yes, I've now seen what's in your health curriculum. Parents have, by state law, parents have the option to opt their child out of any health topic or any health unit they deem to be in contradiction to their beliefs. So there's always that parent opt-out option for any unit in health that you may find disagreement with. And then what we are also looking at is a lot of our teachers, I find, have been sending out at least a preliminary warning letter to parents telling them when puberty lessons are coming up. But they don't require anything to be returned. So we're looking into making that into more of like a permission slip that we would send home and require gets sent back with the parent signature. Basically saying whether your child will or will not participate in that lesson by parent permission. So those are some of the things that we have done that have been going on and things that we are looking to do in the future. But again, if I can just reiterate, we've been teaching the curriculum all year. I have a good number of parent phone calls, I'd say, and emails that I've responded to, but it has gone very well, and our teachers have given us a lot of good feedback about what's in there and what they could use more support on, and that's part of all that PD that we're looking to do in August and September, is how to make sure that they know exactly what's going on.
So this form in PowerSchool, would it be combined with an opt-out form? I mean, because my only concern would be that there's like too many forms.
No.
So you'd have to sign off that you read it and you understand it, then you'd have to find an opt-out, and then potentially you'd have to sign a permission slip.
So the opt-out is already linked on our curriculum sites, and I would probably find a way to link it into that PowerSchool form, because I'm pretty sure we can do that. But it wouldn't be submitted the same way electronically, because honestly, that to me gets lost.
As long as it's in one place where
Yeah.
they understand you're signing off that you read it, one, and then here, if you want to opt out,
Yes.
just,
Yep.
so
Then
even
print-
I can't follow some of the stuff we have.
And then print and return to the office, because what's really important to me is that that form gets returned to the office so that the principal knows exactly what's happening with the students in that class, the teachers know, and that it's not getting lost somewhere in PowerSchool. So it's easy for us to see who has returned it and who has not, but the opt-outs to me are really important to know exactly what units and what lessons parents want their children to not attend.
Where do the students go during that opt-out period?
It really depends on the school. Some of them will go sit with the SBSS. Some of them will sit in the office and just be given something else to do. Sometimes they'll send them to a partner elective class. We're talking K-12 this happens. So it really does depend on the whole situation. But we make sure that they have something else that they're doing that's educationally relevant and that's not, any sort of a punishment seating or anything like that.
What happens if the parent does not sign the paperwork showing that they read it? They signed the opt-out. If they only sign one of these forms, what happens? Well, the opt-out is very clear. They opt out. But what happens if they didn't sign that they read the curriculum? Parents.
What Devin's
Teacher
saying.
would probably follow up. If there was no
Somebody's
opt-out.
going to make a phone call.
If there was no general opt-out, because
And
they
what
may
happens-
opt out of a unit, typically most of the units, especially at the elementary level, only have one lesson. but some have multiple. So if you've opted out of an entire unit, you know, you're opting out of one or more lessons. There are some specific lessons, and I think that's what Devin's referring to, for the parent permission forms. If it's missing, typically what the schools will do is follow up with the parent, you know, have you received it?
But I think we're specifically talking about the new set standards that we're talking about as an opt-in or as a permission.
There's like 3 or 4 new units that have more sensitive topics.
And the parent that doesn't sign anything because they didn't get to sign it, are we gonna make phone calls to these parents?
There's some sort of communication, via
As
email.
long as they gotta pick
Yeah.
up, okay, that's all.
And you're saying that all the schools will be required to remind parents when those
Elementary, we're
modules?
talking elementary.
Just elementary,
Okay.
yeah.
So, in addition, we have some voting items, and Devin, there's 2 field trips. Can you just briefly maybe explain? I think one of them is Arbor Terrace tonight.
Yes, and then just reminded that we are also planning to do parent forums in late August, early September. We haven't really nailed down a time frame yet for parents who are interested in that health curriculum in more detail. All right, and then,
Field trips.
yes, field trips. I remember there were 2. Arbor Terrace was one. It
Menlo
was,
Park Museum.
oh, and then the Menlo Park Museum. There's a really cool Thomas Edison museum there. So it's actually a very science and history focused museum. They said Menlo Park. I got excited. I thought they were going to the mall, but it's not. It's a museum, which is cool too. And then Arbor Terrace is, I forget which teacher emailed me, but it was one of the music teachers at the secondary level, and they would be going there to do a performance of, I forget if it was choir or band, but I believe that it was a choir performance that they were looking to go perform there.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roscoe. Moving on to shared services, Mrs. Doherty.
The Shared Services Committee met with the township representatives on April 11th. There were a few topics discussed. One of them was the trash and recycling contract. We have a joint trash and recycling contract with the township. We've had that for the last several years. The current contract is expiring at the end of this calendar year. So the township is working on putting together bid specs for a new contract and is working with us because we also get our services through that contract to see if anything should be changing in the bid specs as they're preparing to go back out to bid. We also talked about briefly the Port Monmouth Recreational Facility Feasibility Study. We are reviewing a draft of that report, and we are looking to set up a meeting with Pinnacle, which is the consulting firm that has been working on this with the township and the board to review that draft and get a better understanding of what the report is saying. We also talked about reinstituting or revisiting the Horsey Park field trips that we've done in the past. We haven't been doing them over the past few years, so we talked with the township about potentially reinstating some of those programs for our students. We also talked about the Bayview Fields. The Bayview Fields get a lot of community use behind our Bayview School, and we talked with the township about coming up with an approach to potentially rest those fields, renovate them a little bit, because the conditions have been deteriorating because of the heavy use. And the committee also talked about potentially having some SLE internship opportunities at Town Hall. That was a concept that we'd like to explore further. And that was our meeting.
That's it. Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Moving on to negotiations, Ms. Tobacco.
We did meet April 12th with just the committee, and we have been meeting with the MTA and the Teamsters for both the custodian unit and para unit, and things are moving along. We're meeting set this month.
Excellent. Thank you. We're now going to open the mic for public comment on agenda items only. Anyone needs to make a comment, come up, state your name and address for the record.
Erin Guinos. I just have a question. Thank you for the explanation of the curriculum, but where on the website? If someone can just walk me through it, because I cannot find it.
Under the,
Like, I'm on the website right now.
okay, so,
Do you have your computer there?
I have my phone.
under the curriculum instruction tab,
Correct. If you see where it says MTPS course offerings, MTPS assessment hub, nope, keep going. Course says emergency virtual,
Course selection website.
course selection website. Click on that, and then you'll see a bunch of icons. If you scroll to the bottom of those icons, there's one for elementary, high school information, high school courses, pathways, advanced, dual enrollment, student flex, vocational, course application, outside programs, elementary curriculum.
Yep, that's where you'll find the K to 5.
Okay.
Middle school would obviously be
courses.
middle school, yep.
And then the high school is that top one?
The high school is the top one.
Is the top
And then
one.
it's broken out by department.
So once I click on that,
Yeah, you'll find health and physical education, you'll find all the departments, all the different subject areas listed.
got it. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Would anyone else like to make a public comment? Seeing no one stepping forward, we're going to move on. We have a few proclamations tonight. Approval of the following proclamation, Administrative Professionals Day. Be it resolved, the Middletown Township Board of Education hereby recognizes Wednesday, April 27th as Administrative Professional Day and express deep appreciation to the administrative professionals for their unselfish service to schools, departments, and community. National School Principal Day. Be it resolved, the Middletown Township Board of Education do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 1st, 2022 as National Schools Principal Day in the Middletown Township Public Schools. National Teacher Appreciation Day. Be it resolved, the Middletown Township Board of Education do hereby proclaim Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 as National Teacher Appreciation Day in the Middletown Township Public School. School Nurse Day. Be it resolved that the Middletown Township Public School District do hereby proclaim Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 as School Nurse in the Middletown Township Public Schools. And now I need a motion to approve Executive Session 32222, Workshop Special Voting Meeting 32222, Executive Session 32922, and Regular Voting Meeting 32922.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Report of the President. A couple of things I just want to say. First of all, welcome back, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that time off. It was well needed, well deserved, and I know I went away with my family, and it was great just to get away for a little bit of time. Secondly, congratulations to all the teachers. Prior to this, we had a little recognition for all the Teacher of the Year awards, and they were phenomenal as always, and it was a really nice evening over there. So I had a couple, and I know this was reported in the paper, that I spoke with Senator Vin Gopal. He contacted me quite a bit. We've been in discussions quite often, at least once a day, basically, the last 2 weeks. And he's been very concerned about the curriculum as well. He's looking to put forth a bill of transparency, I guess you can say. Something that, Anne Marie, as you just brought out, is on our website, but that is something that is not mandated. That is something that's recommended at this point. He's looking to make that some of a mandated bill that would require all districts to show that curriculum on the website for the health and sex ed. There'll be more, obviously, conversations with Senator, but that bill is going to be presented, I believe, May 9th or 11th. I'm going to see where it goes from there. So I don't see anything wrong with transparency. I foresee no reason why it shouldn't pass. I would think that everybody should have this, but we shall see how that goes. And lastly, I want to say to Mrs. Pickett, this is her last day physically.
Last meeting.
Yes. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last year and a half, and I wish you the best. I'm a little jealous, actually, because I love myself to be retiring, but I truly do say you were a great asset to this district for the last decade, and thank you for all you've done.
thank you.
Alrighty, now, I need a motion to approve B1 through 4.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Now we're going to move to Mrs. Walker, Superintendent update.
Good evening, everybody. I too welcome you back from spring break and hope you had a nice, relaxing time with your friends and family. You know, it's going to be a quick jump till the end of the year. Things really speed up at this time of year. As Mr. Cohn mentioned, we did have a really nice celebration of our teachers or our educators of the year. It was teachers and educational support, you know, like SPSSs or, you know, that type, not just classroom teachers. And each school, the teachers in that school selected the teacher that they felt. So that these teachers were selected by their peers, which is really a great honor. And there were videos at each school where the children, you saw the teacher in action, and the children explained why they felt that their teacher deserved this. And that will be posted on the website over the next couple days. If you haven't had a chance to see it in the auditorium, go on, you know, if you have kids in a certain school or look at all the schools, it was really great hearing from the kids, you know, how great these teachers are. So I encourage you to do that. And also, as I said, as we move into spring and things start going fast, there's lots of activities that are going on in the school. Check the school's websites and, you know, don't hesitate to go to a concert, a chorus, a band, whatever, you know, activities, events going on where the students are showcasing their work like art. You will be amazed at how talented our students are. So a lot of it, I was just looking at the calendar, and there's a lot of events coming on in all the middle schools, the high schools, elementary schools. I just encourage you to take a look and maybe stop in.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve C2 through 4. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Sorry.
I abstain.
We need a motion to approve 15B 1 through 4.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We need a motion to approve E 1 through 3. I am a no on the Health and Equity Conference.
Where are you? Say that again, please.
You
skip C. What about C and D?
C and D. D just first
You're
read.
going to be one.
You skip C.
Facility, yes. All right, need a motion to approve C 1 through 4.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Nothing. Policy?
Just first.
First reading. First reading. Need a motion to approve E 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Who seconded that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I am opposed on number 1, well, let's put it this way, it's easier to read. I
It's
am-
probably the same
yeah.
thing I am, Leonora, so it's the Health and Equity Conference.
Okay, you want to put it that way? Okay. So, yes to everything else, but no.
Want to do a roll call? Want to do a roll call?
Yeah, or, I mean, she called for the vote, you have some ayes, so if anyone is a no, just express your no now, and I'll vote your portion.
I'm a no, Leonora, you're a no?
I'm a no. for
I'm a
that.
no.
I'm also a no.
Is
You
it
guys
all?
are no,
the
just
record is
You
number
clear.
one.
have to say which
Just
item you
one.
want.
Yeah.
Just so the record's clear, on E1, the no, focus on E1, your yes on the
School
school
psychologist.
psychologist conference and a no on the other conference. Is that correct?
Correct.
For anyone who wanted to vote no?
So can we just repeat the no votes?
I am a no, Leonora.
Leonora, Frank, Jackie,
I'm a no.
Dave, and Barry. Correct. And everybody's yes on the rest of E1 through 3, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
F 1 and 2. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? G1, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have Personnel report 1 through 5. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We got 6 through 9. Motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I need a roll call, a motion for a roll call on 10.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Caminiti?
Yes.
Mrs. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Heffernan,
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Tobacco?
Yes.
Mr. Capone?
Yes, congratulations, Mrs. Dell. I need a motion to approve a roll call vote on number 11.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Mrs. Caminiti?
Yes.
Mrs. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Heffernan,
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Tobacco?
Yes.
Mr. Capone?
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Esposito. Motion to approve 12 through 15.
So moved.
I'll second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Public comment. Anybody that wishes to make a comment, please step up to the microphone, say the name and address for the record. Seeing no one coming to the microphone, old business for anyone? New business? Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Good night, everyone.